Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Ben.
I'm Nimikung.
I'm Ben Chan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chap. 22 Sec. 1 of Jane Eyre, an autobiography.
S.
L.
Jane Eyre, an autobiography. Brontë. Chap. 22 Sec. 1. Brontë. Rochester had given me but 1 week's leave of absence. Yet a month elapsed before I quitted Gateshead. I wished to leave immediately after the funeral, but Georgiana entreated me to stay till she could get off to London. With this she was now at last invited by her uncle, Mr. Vincent, who had come down to direct his sister's interment and settle the family affairs. Georgiana said she dreaded being left alone with Eliza. From her she got neither sympathy in her dejection, support in her fears, nor aid in her preparations. So I bore with her feeble-minded wailings and selfish lamentations as well as I could, and did my best in singing for her and packing her dresses. It is true that while I worked, she would idle, and I thought to myself, if you and I were destined to live always together, cousin, we would commence matters on a different footing. I should not settle tamely down into being the forbearing party. I should assign your share of labour, and compel you to accomplish it, or else it should be left undone. I should insist, also, on your keeping some of those drawling, half insincere complaints hushed in your own breast. It is only because our connection happens to be very transitory, and comes at a peculiarly mournful season. At last I said Georgiana off, but now it was Eliza's turn to request me stay another week. Her plans required all her time and attention. She said she was about to depart for some unknown bourne, and all day long she stayed in her own room, her door bolted within, filling trunks, emptying drawers, burning papers, and holding no communication with anyone. She wished me to look after the house, to see callers, and insert notes of condolence. One morning she told me I was at liberty, and she added, I am obliged to you for your valuable services and discreet conduct. There is some difference between living with such a one as you and with Georgiana. You perform your own part in life and burden no one. Tomorrow, she continued, I set out for the continent. Call it. There I shall be quiet and unmolested. I shall devote myself for a time to the examination of the Roman Catholic dogmas, and to careful study of the workings of their system. If I find it to be, as I have suspected is, the one best calculated to ensure the doing of all things decently and in order, I neither expressed surprise at this resolution nor attempted to dissuade her from it. The vocation will fit you to hair, I thought. When we parted, she said, Goodbye, Cousin Jane Eyre. I wish you well. I then returned, You are not without sense, Cousin Eliza. But what you have, I suppose. In another year we'll be walled up alive in a French convent. However, it is not my business, and so it suits you, "You are in the right," said she. And with these words we each went our separate way. As I shall not have occasion to refer either to her or her sister again, I may as well mention here that Georgiana made an advantageous match with a wealthy, worn-out man of fashion, and that Eliza actually took the veil, her novitiate, and what she endowed with her fortune. How people feel when they are returning home from an absence. One more shocked. I did not know. I had never experienced this sensation. All on walk. To be scolded for looking cold or gloomy. And later, what it was to come back from church to Aloud. To long for a best meal and a good fire. And to be unable to get either. Neither of these returnings was very pleasant or desirable. No magnet drew me to a given point, increasing in its strength of attraction the nearer I came. The return to Thornfield was yet to be tried. My journey seemed very tedious. 50 miles one day, a night spent at an inn. 50 miles the next day. During the first 12 hours I thought of my sweet in her last moments. I saw her disfigured and discolored face and heard her strangely. Altered voice. I mused on the funeral day thing. The hearse, black train of tenants and servants was the number of relatives escaping. Fought, silent church, the solemn service. Then I thought of Eliza and Georgiana. I beheld a sign out of a ballroom, convent cell. Character. The evening arrival at the great town of. Scattered these thoughts. Night gave them quite another turn, laid down on my traveller's bed. I left reminiscence for anticipation. I was going back to Thornfield. Was I to stay there? Not long of that. I was sure. I had heard from Miss Fairfax in the interim. Of my absence, party at the hall was dispersed almost 2 weeks ago, but he was then expected to return in a fortnight. Miss Fairfax surmised that he was going to make arrangements for his wedding. He had talked of purchasing and encouraged marrying Miss Ingram. Still seemed strange to her, but from what everybody said and from what she had herself seen, event would shortly take place. It was my mental comment. The question followed. I dreamt of Miss Ingram all the night, saw her closing the gates of Thornfield against me, pointing me out another road. And Mr. Rochester looked on with his arms folded, smiling sardonically, seemed at both her and me. I had not notified to Mice the exact day of my return. Courage to make me have my coat myself. And very quietly, after leaving my box in the hostler's car, did I slip away from the Georgian evening and take the old road to Thornfield through fields, and was now little frequented. Saw her. Evening, though fair and soft the road, and the sky, though far from cloudless, promised hope for the future. Its blue where blue was visible was mild and settled, and its clouds strata high and thin. The west too was warm, no watery gleam. Shielded it seemed as if there was a fire lit, an altar burning behind. Its screen of marbled vapour, a golden redness. I felt glad as the wood shortened before me, that I stopped once to ask myself what that joy meant. Reason that it was not to my home I was going, permanent resting place, which at my arrival, Miss Fairfax was smile you a welcome, be sure, said I see you, but you know very well you are thinking of another than they. But what is so headstrong as youth? What so blind as inexperience? Mr. Rochester, will he looked on me or not, and they had hasten, be with him while you may, or weeks at most. On a moon on, they are making hay too. In Thornfield meadows, or rather, the bars are just quitting there. work with their rakes on their shoulders now out there. Eyre. I have but a field or two to traverse there. Word and reach the gates. How full the hedges are of roses. But I have no time to gather any house. I passed a tall briar path. I see the narrow stile with stone steps. And I see my Rochester sitting there, a book and a pencil. In his hand writing. Well, he is not a ghost. Unstirring, for a moment I am beyond my own mastery. Being him, or lose my voice with the power of motion in his presence. I will go back as soon as I can stir an absolute fool of myself. I know another way to the house. Does not signify. If I knew 20 ways, for he has seen me, he cries. And he puts up his book and his pencil. Ah, time. And I suppose I do come on, fish, and I know not. Being scarcely cognizant of my movements to appear calm and above all, my face, which I feel rebel insolently against my will, I had resolved to conceal, but I have availed it is down me. Make shift yet to behave with decent composure. And this is Jane Eyre? Are you coming from a coat and foot? Yes, just one of your tricks. Not to send for a carriage like a common mortal. With twilight, just as if you were a dream or a shade. Have been with my aunt, sir, a true genuine reply. Be my guard. Are dead glooming? If I did. I to choose substance or shadow, blilig me's fetus light in a marsh. Truant. He added he had paused an instant. Absent from me a whole month, me quite, I knew there. Would be pleasure in meeting my master again, my master, and by the knowledge that I was nothing to him, there was a very mystery of the power of communicating happiness, scattered stray and stranger birds like me, was to feast genially. Last words were born, whether I forgot him or not. Home well that it were my home. He did not leave. The style hardly like to ask to go by. Been to London? Yes, mice. Or yes, sir. The carriage Jane suit Mice Rochester exactly, and well, she won't look like Queen Bodice leaning back against those purple cushions. I wish Jane, trifle better adapted to match with her externally. Tell me now, your icons you give me a charm. Or a filter, that sort, it would be past the power of my jigsaw, and in thought I did. Loving eye is all the charm needed to set you are handsome enough. Mr. Foots with an acumen to me incomprehensible, notice of my abrupt vocal response, smile he had of his own, and which he used. But on rare occasions, he seemed to think it too good for common purposes. Real sunshine of feeling shaded over me now. Asked Janet. Said he, making room for me to cross the stile go up. Poem had now to do was obey him in silence to colloquies. Fair though, I got over the stile without a word to leave him. Calmly, an impulse held me fast to forward, turned me round. I said her. Something in me said for me and in spite of me. You, Mr. Rochester, for your great kindness. To get back. Again to you could hardly have overtaken me had you tried. Delight one. She's with me. Wise friendliness. Lee smiled and even Sophie bid me once swore with glee. This was very pleasant ear. Fellow creatures, and feeling that your presence is an addition to their comfort. That evening shut my eyes resolutely against the future, the voice that kept warning me of near separation and coming grief was over, and Miss Fairfax had taken her knitting a low seat near her, and Adele, kneeling on the carpet, nestled close up to me, us with a ring of golden peace might not be parted far soon, but one. As we thus sat, Mr. Rochester entered unannounced, and looking at us, old lady was all right now that she had got her adopted daughter back again, half ventured to hope that he would. Even after his marriage, together somewhere under the shelter of his protection, sunshine of his presence, a fortnight of dubious come succeeded my return to Thornfield Hall. Nothing was said of the master's marriage on for such an event. Almost every day I asked Ma if she had yet heard anything decided. Her answer was always in the negative. Once she said she had. I put the question to Mr. when he was going to bring his bride home, only by a joke and one of his queer looks tell what to make of him. One thing specially surprised me, and that was there were no journeyings backward and forward, no visits to Ingram Park. To be sure, it was 20 miles off on the borders of another county, but what was that distance to an ardent lover? Indefatigable. Horsemen as Mr. Rochester, it would be but a morning's ride. I began to cherish hopes I had no right to conceive. Match was broke enough. That rumour had been mistaken. Parties had changed their minds. See if it were sad or fierce, when it had been so uniformly clear of clouds or evil feelings. If in the moments I and my people spent with him sank into inevitable dejection, he became even more frequently to his presence, never been kinder to me when Thurind, alas, never had I loved him so well. To be continued.